Welcome to the Not Superheroes Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be presents for our kids, and come back generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing, the barbecue, is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. Hope you guys are doing well today. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Appreciate the support like always, guys. Today, man, I have this amazing man. Today, father, entrepreneur, scout, whatever you need, he probably can do. But how you doing today, Robert?
Man, I'm good. Just trying to get used to this time change. I just want to go to sleep, man. And this is wild, man. When you're in your 20s, this don't even matter. But being in your 40s, this is a big thing. They ain't
True.
coaches on that.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's been kicking my tail. I was trying to think, like, dang, you know what? I wonder how long this is it going to take me, like a month to adjust to this? Like, how long is it going to take me to adjust to this time change?
Man,
But with that being said, man, I like to do an icebreaker, man, and so, I know you're in the sports world. You got your hand in that, which some people might not even know. But I wanted to ask you, growing up, man, was sports a big part of your family or a big part of you? And if so, is that why it was easier for you to transition to what you're doing now? Or if not, what made you get to what you're doing now?
it was, it was a decent part, to be honest with you, family wise. But it's something that I just adopted. Like, I just
Mm,
grabbed onto it, no matter what it was. I mean, with your cousins, everybody playing pick up and run, playing, 21, whatever it was, kickball. I just wanted to be a part of it. So it's just one of those things where that was at a very young age that became my life.
that's dope. That's dope, man. So I wanted to ask you, man, like, we'll dive into what you do, because some people are like, what are you talking about? What does he do? But before we get into that, man, how do you balance? Because I see you, seems like you travel everywhere. It seems like, bro. So how do you balance, that with your work and with everything you got going on, plus being a father? Like, is this something where at times it's a difficult balance, or are you able to kind of merge the two?
It's extremely difficult.
Mm,
Um, that's putting it lightly. When you have to be out, you're sacrificing time that can go other places, like particularly with your kids. And it's a little rough. It was rough, at times. You just have to try to find where you have that availability to be able to, try to squeeze in your family time and your availability with your kids. And it's been a struggle, though, like to try to
mm,
obtain the work balance,
yeah.
like try to make sure your kids have enough time. Because to be honest with you, over these over these 10 years that I've been at it, this is year number 10,
Sheesh.
and it's been it's been rough trying to
Yeah.
balance. I've gotten better over the years, thankfully, but man, it's not for the weak. If you are chasing this rabbit in this game to the point where you go as many places as I do and talk to as many people as I do, you're gonna sacrifice a lot, and you have to be okay with that sacrifice. And sometimes you question yourself, is it really worth it? But nevertheless, you got to understand why you got in this game. So yeah.
Yeah. So how do you handle your approach with that? Because what you're saying is true, man. Because shout out to my boy Chris, but Chris, he I don't want to put his business out there, but he definitely be working with some professionals in basketball and things like that, and he's everywhere traveling.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why what you're saying, bro. That's why he's like, man, I'm waiting on my family right now, because I have to give so much energy, so much time to what I'm doing. So I wanted to ask you, like, how have you been able, or like, because you said over the years, so how have you been able to kind of change your approach to kind of make sure you're be a presence for your kids, especially, you having girls, right? Like, the girls need us, you know what I mean? Like, our sons need us too. Don't get us wrong, but to be that example, to show them certain things, to show them the game. Let's be honest, right? So, like, How have you been able to change your approach over the years with that?
Um, to be honest with you, uh, kind of getting your ducks lined up in a row because nobody's going to help you in that aspect. When they say it's a personal problem, it is really a personal problem.
Mm,
It's like you have to figure it out. And with me gradually getting my ducks in a row has helped. But like when you are at a point where that's not the case, that's when you're lacking. But the most important thing is to make sure you're able to keep a roof over your head and for the
yeah,
kids. And that's when you make sure that you're doing everything you can to do that. But when you're able to kind of like make some progress and be able to give yourself more time, then you're able to kind of just randomly just do what you want to do. Like, let's go out to the movies. Let's go to the beach today. Like, what y'all want to do? Like, you have that luxury. So it's just one of those things where, you just got to kind of keep trying to stride to get to where you want to be to the point where you can have that type of flexibility. But it's tough to try to get it.
that makes sense, man. No, definitely. I can only imagine. So, like, then how have you been able? I guess over the years, bro. Just well, no. Let me go back because some people are like, wait, what does he do again? So, how did you even get into the lane you're in now in the sports world, where I basically look at it like you dang near scouting and, and recruiting or help recruiting and things like that. So, how did you even get in that lane?
I took my black ass back to school. So you I'm gonna tell you a crazy story. So for years, there was this commercial on Power 106 that I used to hear from the sports, the Academy of Radio and Television.
Mhm.
And I never forget, I called it, I called that number one time and I said, you know what? I got some information and I talked to the instructor
Mhm.
and I said, when I'm ready, I'll come up there. 10 years later, almost to the date I made that phone call, I decided to make that call again. And then the next day, I was enrolling in the school because I always wanted to be like Stuart Scott was the guy for me. That was the barometer. I wanted to be Stu. And it was just one of those things where I was just doing all these jobs trying to fit into corporate America. And I'm like, bro, this ain't you. And I'm like, so are you going to give up on yourself or are you going to give yourself another opportunity to try to be what you want to be in life? And I did. I did, man. And I got into school and pretty much got that degree because it's insane on how these people in this media world looks at that degree. And it just boggles my mind because without that degree, I was doper than all of them cats today. Was like, oh, you're man, I could have did what they did in my sleep. But that degree, they talk to you differently. They look at you differently. It is wild when they said that you went to school for broadcasting journalism, how they look at you compared to just being like, I'd rather do like me and you, we do what we do. I'd rather do this. But yeah, the degree is important. It is important. It's helped me, but
Mhm.
I just always thought like, you know what? I was the same guy back then, but doper. I was younger, So yeah, man, I took my butt back to school and really gave myself an opportunity to be heard because the thing that I always said was, with my voice, I just need one person to hear me. That's
Mhm.
it. And not only did I get one person to hear me, but I got multiple people to see me. And from that
Mhm.
point on, it's been up.
Now, I wanted to ask you this because you made a good point, like with the degree, but now with technologies, social media, things like that, if you got in the game, let's say, let's say now, let's say your kids was all of them were like a little bit smaller. You got in the game, a little bit younger, whatever, and technology in the last 10 years has grew so much. But let's say you have
Mhm.
that same access, would you have? Not saying you wouldn't have went to school, but would you have maybe went the independent route and be like, man, I'm gonna make sure, like my voice, like now I don't have to wait for the masses, right, to look at me to approve me because at the end of the day, they even saying I'm dope. I know I'm dope.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm going to control my narrative and still be to do what I want to do with my family, right, without having to hustle and bustle for you, right?
Yeah.
I'm just hindsight's 2020, of course, but I'm just saying if you have that opportunity, because again, in the last 10 years, technology has grown so much. It
Yeah.
always is. So I'm just when you said that, it just made me think. Would you? I'm not saying not get your degree, but would you approach it in an independent way so you could be a little bit more with your family?
I'm just smiling because, man, I've when people ask like how things have been, like, or how do you feel about what you do, and I tell them, I mean, there's some highs and the lows are really low.
Mm,
And I used to say all the time, I could have saved my money and just put that into myself and hustled in the streets and like networked, and I would have been
mm,
fine.
yeah.
And I would not have had no student loans to pay.
Mm, yeah.
Being in LA, like I could have did that,
Yeah.
but I didn't really have that mind. I mean, like pretty much like I didn't really have that frame of mind to basically be able to go at that route at the time
Mm,
because I'm dealing with small children.
yeah.
So, my whole thing is just like I got to make sure there's money coming. I don't got time to be hanging out to the point everybody looking like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Like, he's always here, but who is this guy? Oh, he
Yeah.
cool, whatever. I didn't have time for that. So I felt like that was my only avenue at that time.
Yeah.
But what I've gone through my struggles off, I've had them conversations with myself like, bro, you could have like saved the student loans and you could have been doing this independently.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I've absolutely thought about that.
Yeah, man. Just like I said, just from one, obviously we in the sports group too, so I know you're very knowledgeable about the game. And just like I said, seeing what you're doing. So that's why I was just thinking, like, at the end of the day, man, like you said, you are very knowledgeable. They're looking at you like they probably looking at you like, dang, this dude low key could take my spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like he knows what I'm doing, but well, I got this degree, and no disrespect to whoever, but they got the degree, but you like, man, you have zero knowledge of what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You probably just getting blown away. Like, man, why are you even in this position? Oh, it's because you rubbed elbows with this person or whatever the case is. So that's crazy, bro. Just to think about.
yeah. It's really when it comes to this game, it's really about who you know, and that's really with anything in life is who you know. Because there's a lot of talented, like we live in a place of very talented individuals, and they'll never get their shake that they deserve because they weren't willing to do what it took to get there,
Mm,
or they didn't know the right people, and that's really unfortunate. But it's dope with platforms like this to the point where you can be your own voice on your own terms. And the
yeah.
thing that I loved about my boss, God rest his soul, was that he always wanted us to be authentic and be ourselves to
Mm,
the point where we weren't going to compromise nothing, and we were going to be as dope as we could be to try to make a difference in this game. So yeah, it's all about really having a having a code with yourself,
yeah.
because when they hear that Hollywood mess, that mess is real. It's a
Yeah.
lot of weird stuff that they will ask you to do, and it's really it's really depressing, to be honest with you, when you think about it, because you thought that like somebody was really trying to help you out, and then they hit you with the goofy,
With the Diddy.
and it's just like, dang. So this
Yeah.
is what it is. It's like it's been to the point where dealing with that mess with me personally last year, I almost
Mm,
gave up. I said, you know what, I'm cool, I'm done,
yeah.
because I
Yeah.
ain't going. For me to have fame for the price that it'll come with, oh nah,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
that's just not even that's not even an option.
Yeah.
But when I see certain people, it's just like, hmm, you never know. But yeah, it's weird out here, man. It's really weird.
No, and that's what I mean, I'm from Cali too, so I've heard my fair share of stories. That's just in general. So I know there's pedigrees at Some people might believe it, some people don't. But it's not until
Yeah.
you in it where you see like, oh, okay, this is legit. You know what I mean? And so I remember someone told me a while back, they said, when it comes to, was it, he said, it was this dude, he told me education, experience, network. He said network trumps all three of those.
Oh yeah.
If you have if you have all three though, you're dangerous, right? And
Yeah.
so that just made me think of, um, you already had. I feel like you already probably have the network game, or you could have the network game, um, the education, right? And now you have the experience. So, bro, you a dangerous man. If of course, I'm not saying for you to leave, but if you ever did go that route, say, hey, I'm gonna be independent. I think you'd be good just because of the connections and stuff you made over the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's well, it's like I always tell people because they always see the brand like SchollyMe. And it's like, I always said that I am independent, but see, the only thing that completely wouldn't make me independent is that I didn't create SchollyMe.
Mm,
I elevated it, but I didn't create it. So
God.
I part own it. So
Okay.
it is my baby, but it's not what I started from scratch. And being able to be completely independent, that's something that I've been thinking about for like the last like 2-3 years
Yeah.
on how to go about that, because I mean there's so many entities that you can dive into. And
Mm,
I get called everything from coach like like coach is the number one thing they call me, because people really kind of don't really understand like what exactly is it that you do, because it's like they
mm,
see me doing so much, they're like, what do you do?
yeah.
And that's the thing with SchollyMe, we've had to learn how to do multiple things,
Mm,
and that's why I'm all over the place. But in regards to going independent, that's something that I want to do. But my whole thing is, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right,
yeah.
because it has to be a purpose into it. It's
Yeah.
one of those things where whatever I'm doing, it has to help, because help costs a lot of money these days.
It does.
Help is a couple racks.
Yeah.
Like that's what help is these days. And
Yeah.
end of the day, like there's this country is there's a whole lot of have and have nots. There's a lot of people struggling and need help.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is just like, okay, so how can I kind of bring it to the middle, to the point where we can keep the resources flowing, but we can help the people that don't have nothing. And that's what made SchollyMe so special to begin with,
Yeah.
because we were helping people that like for nothing,
That's
for
crazy.
nothing, and people blew up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I want to keep it in that same realm, to the point
Yeah.
where we can keep it going. But I ain't trying to be no broke businessman either. But I do
Yeah,
want to be to the
absolutely.
point.
Maybe you got family, you
Yeah,
got needs you gotta take care of. But it's funny you said it, because yeah, anytime I see that, I think of you. Anytime I see that anywhere, I'm like, oh, that's my boys. Okay, that's crazy. Right, so
yeah,
that's why you said. Now I want to ask you too, bro. Like, what is do you even have a story? Because like you said, you've helped families, or well, a kid that also helps a family maybe get a scholarship or get noticed or something like that. Do you have a story of maybe under the radar, right? Because I know you really in the trenches with it, where
yeah,
it's easy to say, oh man, Cooper Flag, right? It's easy to point him out, right? or
yeah,
or or Bronny James or whoever, right? But like
yeah,
the kids that like, and those that know me, they know I love college hoops. So I'll be looking at like the kids that's under the radar that no one pays attention to, things like that. So is there like a name that maybe in high school, either now or even before, that no one really paid attention to, and you kind of point them out, and people are like, wait, how did you know? How you know he was gonna kind of take off?
Oh, Carson Cox,
Mm,
true freshman UCLA running back, number one
mm,
running back in the state for the class of 2025. I mean,
mm.
for class of 2000, yeah, 25, because he's an early enrollee, so he's supposed to graduate for 25. So yeah, so
Okay.
they had a kid at Mater Dei, and everybody knows, Mater Dei is a powerhouse
Yeah.
football, and I think his name is Jordan Davison,
Okay.
hell of a running back. He's been known as that guy as a running back for a really long time during his 14U days, 13U, like the literally like Pop Warner days type deal.
Yeah.
and he's dope. But Modern Day has a D1 size line he's running behind. I got a kid out here in the high desert who ain't nobody care. Nobody want to know nothing about the high desert. Who cares about that? That's far. That's Victorville,
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm covering the game because, I do my SchollyMe game of the weeks.
Yeah.
And, I peeked game and I saw that, he did his thing. And, I know his pops. I said, hey, could I get your son on the show this weekend? He's like, cool. And, I'm just evaluating the film I got. And I'm like, he's missing one thing. Just speed. But it's like you could tell he's going to be big based off his frame. But this is 10th grade year, by the way. And I said, look, I said on the show, I said, man, if you get faster, you're going to be a national recruit. Once you start to fill in your body, people ain't going to know where you came from. And the fool ran track, ran it to the 9, got faster, and his first game of the year, his junior year, stiff-armed a dude and ran 85 yards, like 80 yards to the house. And everybody's all like, oh, this Carson Cox kid. And and his dad like, man, you've been on this. And when he committed to UCLA, because, he committed to Deshaun Foster. And after he committed, he got on my show. He said, man, if it wasn't for you, like I had no offers before I got on your show. And then once everybody's like, oh, Robert talking to this dude? Oh, yeah, we got to look at this dude. And they saw what it was. So, just one of those things where I deal with all the politics. I deal with all the who's is who's and all that. And that's cool. I mean, you don't ever knock people for what experience they want. If they want to go to a private school, go to a super team, that's cool. That's their experience that they want. But if you got the neighborhood kid that's balling with not as much help, we gotta watch that. The last neighborhood kid that I saw that I knew was doping everybody, and I am the only media guy to say it. I said, in my opinion, this is the number 1 quarterback in the country. That happened to be Jaden Daniels.
Wow.
I'm the only media guy on record when he was in high school to say that. The only. Right. So I evaluate, I see what the talent is and think about it. Jaden Daniels was in high school the same time as C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, DJU. There were some killers in high school when Jaden Daniels was in there. But what he did at Cajon,
that's why. You know how that is.
Look, I'm going to say this, and I don't care how it sounds. What he did at quarterback at San Bernardino, dudes in San Bernardino don't do that. They don't got the capability to do that. When I saw what he was doing at Cajon, I said, that's different. Yeah. That's different. It was insane. That dude was the truth. But yeah.
Crazy, bro. Dang. So how like to go back to like you say you helped I forgot his first name. Last name was Cox, right?
Yeah, Carson Cox.
Carson Cox. There you go. How did that? I mean, I'm sure you have even more stories like that too. But when you're able to help, a kid be able to, get noticed and the parents is thanking you, like, how does that make you feel? Not that you looking for, oh, I need this extra gratitude because I know you have a good heart and things like that, but just knowing like, hey, I had a small part in this kid's story. You know what I mean? And the fact that I saw something that, other people's in it, and the parents is, because, as parents, right, you might be skeptical, like, oh man, he just gassing it up. I don't know. Like, was he really? Yeah. Oh, dang, no, he really is for me, right? Like, he really is for my kid. Like, how does that make you feel, bro? Or how
it's did it crazy because his dad's name is Kenny.
Okay.
And Kenny called me yesterday, saying like Deshaun called me. I mean, his running back called him and said, man, this dude is on the verge of being a captain. The only reason why he hasn't been named a captain because he's a true freshman. He said, like, when it comes to lifting, like, the weight room, they looking at him like he's leading drills. He's a true freshman. So his dad called me yesterday to give me an update on this cat. So it's just like, it's cool to get that because his story's dope. He was on the OG Ducks and got kicked off that team. So it wasn't overnight for him. Yeah. grinded for that. And, people kind of like dismissed it, but it's just one of those things where you get stories like that and the parents are so grateful. It's the best when the parents are like really just grateful, because end of the day, the thing that I want to keep in my mind is that I found them, but they did the work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it goes hand in hand. You got the help, like the exposure. I
Mm.
mean, dudes in the high desert don't get exposure like that, but I've highlighted him to the point where it's just like, no, you're a national recruit. I gave him more exposure than any running back in the state,
Wow.
probably in the country. So
Wow.
it's just like one of those things where it's just like, I got a job to do, and then I do it well. But
Yeah.
it's really cool when the parents really appreciate it. So that's always gratifying for me, to the point where I know that they actually appreciate it. And then for Kenny to call me to let me know how he's doing at practice as a true freshman early enrollee, that's just lets me know that, like, I actually did it right. It's not on those scumbag type stuff, or
Yeah.
I ain't using these kids. It's like these parents still mess with me because they knew I was legit from the start. So that makes me feel real good that, like, my name got weight to the point where everybody know I'm solid.
That's dope, man. So, like you said, he's leading, the drills and just really stepping up. Like, is that something too? Where you're, I guess, when you're looking, when you're scouting, when you're going to these different places, are you kind of looking too, as far as like looking at their character, looking at maybe if they coachable, looking at attitudes, looking at mannerisms, or is it more so you just focus on the game? Like, man, I ain't really even worried about all that, or is it something you do need to know because it might be a coach that comes up to you, hey man, what do you think of this kid, or whatever the case is. Like, what are I guess to sum it up, what are the different things you're looking for besides obviously if they're really that guy on the court or the field or whatever it is.
Yeah, see, the thing that we're so lucky about being in LA, in the greater Los Angeles area. So for people who don't know what the greater Los Angeles area is LA County, Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and Ventura County. All that talent in that whole area is a lot. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of good players on these teams, and there'd be some times where there'd be players who are ranked higher than some of their teammates, but some of their teammates in the same position are actually better than them.
Mm.
But exposure has a lot to do with going to camps. Camps is really everything in regards to how you get ranked. If you don't go to camps, you're practically gonna be just a talented guy without exposure, and that hurts a lot of kids. But
Because those
for
camps aren't
me,
cheap.
no, they're not. They not. And they some is invite only, some, but most you paying, and
Mm.
people don't really want to pay, and I don't fault them for that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your student athlete, man, it's not cheap. Like, you really breaking your pockets for them, from traveling, food, camps, all that stuff, man. Like shoes, like clothes, all that. But for me personally, when I'm scouting these kids, I want to see the qualities they have, like the leadership qualities. I want to see what the attitude like, because there's a lot of prima donnas that, like, the moment you hit them, they hollering, crying, talking all this mess.
Yeah.
You can get them out their game quick. And this is
Mm.
the thing where I tell all these kids, man, you dope in high school, you go to college, everybody dope, everybody. So I don't care about none of this right here. I really don't. If you good enough to the point where you got your ticket punched to the point where you going to college, good for you. But if you over there kind of got like a little, a little female dog mentality, oh, you're gonna be in the transfer portal, boy, because they're gonna get another one to replace you.
True.
They don't waste no time no more. This is the most brutalest period of college sports that we have ever seen.
Yeah.
What's the coldest part about right now is I got like about 5 kids that are D1 players, and they JUCO bound. They JUCO bound because colleges don't want to develop no more.
Yeah.
They want a kid who can play now.
Mm.
So if this kid needs to develop, he can do that in JUCO. That's how they looking at these kids, man. JUCO is about to be. JUCO's been lit for the past 3 years, and it's only gonna get better, man. So if a coach is coming to me like Antonio Pierce, I remember when Antonio Pierce was, DC at Arizona State,
Yeah.
and I never forget on the sideline. I never forget this. I think we were at Warren at the Warren game. It was Warren and Sarah, and she said, "Hey, bro, hey, what do you do?" She's like, "Who?" Like, and I told him what I did, and he was like, "Oh, dope, I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna follow you for sure." Like, what you think of number like Jordan Anderson, like the number 0 wide receiver? He's at Sacramento State right now, but he committed to Oregon, and then he decommitted and ended up going to Oregon State, but he transferred out to Sacramento State right now. And he just asked me about players and all, and I said, "Man, just gave him my honest opinion about someone." I said, I know who you are and how you are. You ain't gonna like this kid, but that's the kid you should be looking at." And then that linebacker he took out of Sarah, Merlin Robertson, that dude was a dog, man, and he did well at Arizona State. He did real well, but it's just one of those things where if a coach asks me how they feel about a kid, just because I like a kid, I can't lie for the kid.
Yeah.
Because at this point you ask me and my name is on the line, like, oh, he said he was cool, but he acting like a straight 304 the moment he got here, and just like, yeah, and I can't have that attached to myself. I got to be honest. There's been some kids who I really liked, but I had to, when I was asked from a coach, like, what do you think about him? And I said, all right, man, I hate that you asked me because I got to be honest about my boy. And, you got to do that because these coaches will expose these kids. Yeah. So for me, I just got to be honest about what I see. I don't care how good you are because, like I said, when you get to college, everybody dope. But if you were like they call them character kid, if you got bad character, and I'm over here saying, oh, he over here throwing up like East Side Pacoima Paru or whatever, and it's like, bro, it's like people do that wherever they go, but it's just like the moment like he want to fight all the damn time. Ain't nobody gonna be dealing with some kid who's gonna get you 15 yards penalties, take you out of field goal position, and it's like, you just wasted your time on a knucklehead that's probably gonna get bounced out of school. So yeah, man, you just gotta be honest with what you see, bro.
And I think too that's something what you said too, like different coaches asking you, is this kid, or they're asking about the kid, but you're like, that's not the right fit. I think at times as parents, fathers, right, we might get so caught up in, oh, UCLA, like let's go UCLA, but that might not be the right fit for your child's personality, right? And it's like you could be setting your child up to fail instead of, I don't know, I'm thinking of who. So let's say Pepperdine, right? So Pepperdine might be better for you. Yeah, it's not as big of a name as UCLA, but the culture and the way that your child is let's just say Pepperdine is more mellow, more chill, right? It's going to fit your child's character and going to help your child develop in the right way. You go to UCLA, for example, let's say there's just a bunch of dogs, and that's not how your child's wired, right? You go there and they get eaten alive, and now they got to transfer somewhere else.
I'm gonna tell you something in regards to that. Irvin knows my boy Malik Fig James, who runs Premium, and I tell you, we're at a time now where you treat these schools like pretty much like how people pay women to leave, because you go smaller and you allow these big schools to come and buy you out and take you with them. Everybody was going to UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado. Everybody was going to them schools. But if you don't produce there, you gone. Yeah. You got 2 years max to show something. Maximum 2. Jeez. Maximum. These coaches don't got time to be developing you if you're not developing. Yeah. So you go to like a San Diego State, a Fresno State, a San Jose State. Like my boy, I'll give you an interesting one. Like my boy DJ Harvey, he's a premium kid. Went to Virginia Tech. Probably, I think, the first California recruit ever to go to Virginia Tech. Didn't really do nothing for 2 years, and then he ended up leaving. He went to San Jose State, so it looked like that was a step down. Like you was in like hokey land, like, and you didn't do what you went out there to do. So you go to San Jose State, you one good year, you did your thing. Year number two, that light bulb went off. You grew into your potential. What happened with DJ Harvey? USC came calling. Cornerback number one at USC. It's just one of those things where you got to be smart about it now, because,
Yeah.
like you said, like as a parent, when people have these unrealistic expectations for their kids, it's like your kid needs somewhere that's laid back. You put him at Miami, at the U, he
Whew.
going up.
Yeah.
But he should probably be in Tallahassee at Florida State, maybe, or maybe he should be like maybe at like University of Memphis or something. Like
Yeah.
turn down to the point where he can put his freaking head down and just get to
Yeah.
work. And a lot of these kids, a lot of these parents live their dreams into our kid, into your kids, and I hear that because for me, when it comes to my son, I want him to be able to not deal with all the BS that I cause myself to
Mhm.
deal with. So I feel like I tell him all the time, you're gonna be way doper than I ever was. Cause I'm gonna make sure of that.
Yeah.
Like the streets ain't gonna be able to get to you. I'm gonna make sure of
Mhm.
that. I'm gonna make sure that like anytime when you got a question, I got an answer for you.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna be one of those things where, you gotta really understand the whole process. We may want some things, but it ain't really for us. And that's okay. That's not a problem, because the thing when it comes to life and everything that we do, when it comes to like our jobs, our employment, our colleges we play sports for, everybody has a lane. You have to do your research to be able to go into the lane that fits you.
No, that's real, bro. I wanted to ask you too, man. As we'll get ready to wrap up, but I did want to ask you one. I guess as far as because I heard with basketball it's even more crazier because there's smaller roster spots, right?
Yeah.
There's so many talented kids that get, I guess, overlooked or whatever, or they have to go the JUCO route, like you said. Um, so is it one of those things though? Has it been one of those things where you saw a kid that was really good, I guess, as far as basketball as well, and it was something maybe they had to transfer high schools to get noticed, or how did that? How do you have any, I guess, experience or stories with that as well?
I think there's certain players, especially the city section, that if they would have transferred to some southern section schools, it would have helped them out a lot,
Mm,
because they want the JUCO, because they didn't have the like opportunities, but they balled at JUCO.
mm,
They balled out. I mean, if you can ball at JUCO, I mean, it's not D1, but there are some dogs there,
yeah.
and you that would have absolutely helped a lot of kids that I covered. That they would have went to like another school. And
Mm,
the thing was, a lot of cats in my neighborhood, like I'm from Pacoima, and a lot of Pacoima cats moved to Palmdale, Lancaster.
okay.
So when they did that, at that point, people were moving out the city, and the competition was changing. So more competition was in southern section. Back in the day, like city ball was life. You had all these all Americans in the city,
Yeah.
but now everybody's at a private school. Southern
Mm,
section powerhouse. It's mostly private schools, man. Like, and shout out to Roosevelt for winning the Open Championship, Southern
mm,
Cal Regional Championship. They were playing for state championship. And shout out to my Chatsworth Chandlers for winning D2, playing for state championship on Saturday. But
that's dope.
those are two public schools I just named. One's a
Mm,
city school and one's a Southern section school. And
mm,
it's just one of those things where you just got to really, as a parent, you have to really just be on your kids' process,
mm,
because let's just be honest, there's a lot of parents that don't really know what's going on. They just know that their kids are active, and that's cool. But because that's what I had. But it's just like I didn't really have like a super sports family like that.
yeah.
So it wasn't one of those things where I was going into a situation because my cousins went there, and I'm gonna be cool over here because they're looking out. But
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where you just have to really be mindful of what's going on, what the process is, so you don't get overlooked. For the parents that you can tell, for the parents that aren't really like that and into it, a lot of those kids do get overlooked. But you got to understand, man, you can't really blame your parents, because your parents is over there trying to work, trying to make sure that you cool, got a roof over your head, you know, trying to get whatever you need. So that's not on your parents, man.
Yeah.
As much as people want to, kind of like blame their parents, but it's like, all right, cool. Well, good luck being an adult. We'll see how you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's just what it is, man.
Yeah.
Certain kids do get stuck, man, and it's unfortunate, but thankfully they do got JUCO. But if they would have been able to get to a better opportunity, they would have absolutely been able to be seen more.
Mm. So you we'll close out on this. You have a, like you said, the good part is, like, if your son does, I don't know if he does sports now, but if he does, he's gonna have the ins and out because he has you, right? So you're gonna be able to help him out in a certain aspect. So I was gonna as we close out, for the fathers out there, like, man, my child plays whatever sport it is, right? And they're pretty good. What is, I guess, if you could give advice one key advice to for them to maybe look out for? It could be, I don't know, people selling fake dreams. It could be whatever it is, right? Just something to be conscious of. And then it's a two-part question. The second part is for athletes. So let's say, I don't know, if their kids listening to this, right? What type of advice could you give to the young student athlete about, maybe, I don't know, maybe just about how they can present themselves on and off the court?
In regards to like the young athletes, I always say, like, you know, before you do anything, just know the fundamentals first. You can't do nothing without those. I mean, once you learn the fundamentals of the game that you're playing, everything else will fall into play. Because at that point, you're going to get better to the point where it's going to cap out. Either your cap is going to be to the point where you can go further, or your cap is going to be to the point where you are maxed out. Either way, give yourself an opportunity to be able to know the game better than everybody that is on that field with you, or that court with you. So that's my number one advice that I would give for anybody trying to master their craft and master that damn thing,
Mm.
and everything else will fall into place. Student athletes, the thing that I will say with them, don't worry about what you see on social media, man. Social media is not real. It's not real. It's a facade. There's a lot of fake millionaires, fake ballers, fake happy people. These people don't got money. These people are unhappy. This is the worst place for you to look at somebody, or maybe your peer, and think that this, or your hero, and that's what it is. It's not. It's really not. For me, young teenagers to have emotional intelligence, for them to dig into their emotional intelligence, is
Mhm.
extremely important, because you are aware of yourself. You're mindful of yourself. You're mindful of other people. And if you have that intelligence about yourself to the point where you are completely intertwined with your emotional intelligence, everything else will fall into place. You don't want to be about, you don't worry about trying to be like nobody. You want to be the best version of yourself. So that's the thing that I always ask these youngsters: tap into your best self. If you can tap into your best self, everything else is going to fall into place. Be the
Mm.
best person you can be the best student you can be the best son you can be all of that. But don't worry about what you see, because a lot of the stuff that you do see on social media is not real.
Mm. I like that. I like that, man. And so I think, oh yeah. And so what is something you think or was that for both? Was that for the parents as well, as far as don't get caught up on social media? Was that for students
Oh,
only, or both?
well, yeah, that's this. Don't get caught up is mostly for the students.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because the parents, it's just like, man, that's a case by case thing, man. It's they get caught up in it too. Because everybody's like, what about my baby? Well, my baby is this, my baby can do. Yeah, we get that. Your baby's the best until somebody else's baby come and show your baby that your baby is not. So that's what it is. But it's just one of those things with a parent. Like I said, a parent just really has to be aware of what is going on, because people ain't gonna care about your kid like you gonna care about your kid.
Mm,
Like, people will take advantage of your kid, man. They will convince you to basically quit your job, come over here, get another job, and then when another kid that's better than your kid comes,
mm,
your kid gotta go. There's a
sheesh.
thing called the high school transfer portal too.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. Kids are getting racks to move schools. That's a real thing. And it's on the parent to make sure that they don't mismanage that. And there's a lot of mismanagement going on right now. It's a
Mm,
cold game out there, man.
dang. No, that's good stuff, man. As you've been dropping so many gems, man, and just like I said, I'm sure I'm learning stuff, y'all too, as well. But where can they, like? I know you mentioned your show. I know you have different things going on, man. And what is it that they can? Or well, one, tell them a little bit what you got going on and where they can follow you and all that, man.
Yeah, man. I just been this whole year I just been kind of like really just trying to just really get it all together. It's with my business, my boss, he passed away last summer, in a tragic drowning incident at Lake Mead. And to be honest with you, man, it's been just to kind of like I struggle with that still, because we were trying to really change the world here, man. And
Mm,
you know, when you lose $1 billion deal, not once but twice,
mm,
it just really it just eats away to you. It eats away on you, man. I think you've seen like the press release of the Yahoo, like when we got that $1 billion deal. And
yeah.
I tell you, man, it was going to be so huge because I was going to be a part of the media aspect of things, and everybody that I formed relationships with over the years, I was going to give everybody their own platform under my umbrella, to the point where, man, you can make money doing this under your umbrella full time, to the
Mm,
point where whatever you got going on, man, if you want to keep it, yeah, but we all gonna be under the same umbrella, and everybody maintain their ownership of their brand.
mm,
It was gonna be so dope, man. Like, everybody from like my, you know, cats who got the podcast, people that got like the 7-on-7 organizations, man. I was just gonna pretty much put everybody in a room and say, man, this is what I'm presenting, man. If you don't want to deal with it, that's cool. But man, I'm coming here presenting everybody with opportunities to the point where we can all just be bosses. And
mm,
Donald Trump straight out told us, you guys are a national threat. You guys are giving China unparalleled access to this country,
mm,
and we got put on the list. That's a
mm.
security risk. So
Wow.
when he got out, it was like, okay, cool, we can revisit this. But when he drowned, we were supposed to go to October. He drowned in the end of June. And when he drowned, it was just like, and this is like, when it comes to like money and all, if it came down to money and my boss, I'd rather for him to be here than the money. Let's get
Yeah.
that, let's be square about that. But just for us to have that opportunity taken away twice,
Mm,
it's just like, damn. And it just makes you think, like, is this worth it at this point? And
mm,
now, now there's legal action involved. His daughter wants everything. We're about to go to trial.
mm,
Um, and that's pretty much what I can say for that. Um, we got a lot of good things in regards to how he structured the company, to the point where we feel we can keep it.
okay.
Um, but it's a fight, and we're fighting for that. And that's like fighting for my baby, because I've been 8 years in the game with that baby.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where that's a tough one. But SchollyMe, that's the brand. Everybody saw the first time where everybody kind of seen, like, you've seen me over the years, but when we went viral with that Kayvon Thibodeau
Yeah.
um, at the coin toss,
Yeah.
like, when we went viral with his future teammate in Oregon, like, wish you the best. Every year, like Overtime, Fox, ESPN, they all tag me every year when it comes to football season, because that was my moment. And that thing when that happened, everything changed overnight. So, there's a lot of good things that we did with that. And, I got interviews from 2 Heisman Trophy winners, Bryce Young, Jaden Daniels. I mean, Elijah Arenas, that was just last Saturday. James Harden pulled up to the game.
Yeah,
James Harden, Master P and Silk the Shocker, they came on Tuesday. So, it's just I'm not stopping until we get notification of what we can do. So, I did that, but I got into writing. I went to school for broadcast and journalism, and the moment that I graduated, I stopped writing because I was in front of the freaking camera.
yeah.
But I got back into it, so I am the writer for Dice City Sports. My beat is boxing, MMA. I'm about to I took a break from it because we're about to get the podcast going. So I'm really about to pump that out big time. Hopefully I'm at that Terrence Crawford and Canelo fight, man. So, I'm working for that. And I got a partnership I got going on with my boy Frank, who's at the district basketball organization in Chatsworth, who has developed 18 of 33 McDonald's All-American nominees for this class.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, and he's got like 8 first rounders in his bag. Shout out to my boy Frank Robinson, man. He's a great dude, really developing talent, man, and I'm just blessed to be, working with him and getting that going. So he's also the director of Paul George Elite. He is the director of that as well. So shout out to my boy Frank Robinson, man. That dude. He cares about the kids and actually are developing kids, man. That's the best. He is the best developer in LA County when it comes to basketball talent.
That's dope. I love it, bro. No, I love it, and I want to just thank you for your time, man, and like you said, the time change both threw us off. So you're playing a little injured with the tiredness, right? But nah, man, I appreciate you, man, and
no doubt.
You just keep being, like you said, it's hard sometimes juggling different things, but the door's gonna open, man. You keep getting close and things keep happening, but the door's gonna open and you're gonna be to get some of that time back. You want for you, your family. I'm believing in that, man, and I'm definitely gonna do my part to man, when the podcast, all the stuff you got going on, bro, please send it my way. Or if I come across it, I'll make sure I share it as well. I know the fathers that's listening will do the same. Man, because you're doing an amazing thing, man. You're helping so many families, so many lives, just bringing awareness, bro. So I thank you, man. I thank you for your time. I thank you for what you're doing, man, for real.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, hit me on, follow me on Instagram, Robert LaMar 26, TikTok. I mean, I don't really like social media, but yeah, that's where I'm at, man. I am Robert LaMar 26 on TikTok, Robert LaMar 26 on Instagram, man. I appreciate you for bringing me on, man. This was dope, man. Thank you.
No, anytime, bro. Yeah, man. And I'll make sure too, y'all, just in case y'all like, man, I can't remember that. I'll put it in the links and stuff so y'all can click on it. And all that, man. But yeah, like always, guys, you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. I'll see you guys on the next one.